In this video, I'm going to talk about 3 deadly mistakes you should avoid if you prepare an interview with Amazon, specifically preparing on their leadership principles. The first thing I'd like to talk about here would be the context of those leadership principles, because truth be said, they're quite popular. There's even books written about the leadership principles, and even Andy Jassy published a video 2 months ago explaining all their leadership principles. However, you should understand the targeted audience for such content. That's usually Amazon employees or enthusiasts around how Amazon works, right? And truth be said, Amazon works on their leadership principles. It's the backbone in everything they do. Now, if this being said, this doesn't mean that you as a candidate should interpret their principles as for their own business or for their own business logic, if I may call it so. And to give an example here, customer obsession is the most important leadership principle at Amazon. I hope we agree this. It's easily verifiable if you search online. Now, I can tell you from experience, there are many types of roles at Amazon for which the leadership principle of customer obsession makes no sense. It's not even being screened for in job interviews. An example here would be for a principal AI researcher, right? Or even for highly technical roles in particular, right? So I guess my question for you would be, does customer obsession make any sense to your specific role? Is the content that you're consuming targeted for your interview prep and preparing the type of experience that are more relevant for you here? The second thing I'd like to talk about here is a matter of importance, right? So again, Amazon's leadership principles are really important part of Amazon's business. Now, this being said, you should understand that your story in a job interview is far more important than Amazon's leadership principles, okay? Or if I may put it in a slightly different way, if your story will not perfectly fit into a leadership principle or will not answer perfectly the question you're getting asked, they will ask you another question, right? But if it's a great story, they will ask you another question, right? Now, in return, if you spot the leadership principle and you give a story which perfectly fits the principle but is a bad story, you'll get disqualified, all right? So, simple example here. Tell me about the time when you made a wrong decision, right? I hope we agree. A bad decision usually talks about I write a lot. Okay. Now, if you give an example of a time when you took a wrong decision 2 months ago and you learned a lot from it, but you got fired, well, guess what? You won't pass the interview. Okay, simple as that, right? So picking the best possible story trumps the leadership principle, if I may call it so, right? So the second was a matter of importance. And the third thing I'd like to talk about here would be, again, a bit of matter of context. So each leadership principle could mean different things to different types of roles. So when you prepare stories for leadership principles, try to think about your subject matter expertise. Okay, so for example, developers diving deep into budgets or saving money for the company instead of diving deep into their code. Okay, or salespeople talking about diving deep inside code instead of diving deep inside their sales funnels. Okay, or maybe one more here. Some people have a tendency to talk about extracurricular activities to showcase some subject matter expertise. This might work, with one time, but it's not the main thing in a job interview. So they will be interested in your professional type of work or achievements or experience if you want. So, long story short, think what matters to a role such as yours. When looking at others' examples, try to understand the behavior. Don't clone the example and keep your main thing the main thing, if I may call it so. So first was when you hear information about the principle, understand who the targeted audience for that content is. Maybe it's Amazon employees, therefore might make little sense for you as a candidate, or not as much sense at least. Second is importance, your stories. matter more than Amazon's leadership principles in a job interview. And third, your story should showcase your subject matter expertise, not your extracurricular activities, which might not be as efficient. So I hope you found this useful, and thank you very much for watching.